Did you see that shit? MMA podcast. Hosted by mixed martial arts journalist Mike Strauss, aka Strauss21, and Chicago's number one underground comedian, Apollo Taj Mahal.
Thank you for listening. I'm Mike Strauss, aka Strauss21, and this is
Apollo Taj Mahal.
we are the guys from the Did You See That Shit Mixed Martial Arts podcast. We know you're going to like the interview, so be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all the social media platforms, as well as the Missing Time Productions YouTube channel. And don't forget to go to didyousseethatshit.com for a complete rundown of all of our content. Right, Apollo?
Yeah.
I want to welcome back to the show Anthony Lionheart Smith. Has a huge fight coming up here in just about, at the end of the month here against Volkan Oezdemir. Fight night 138. What's going on, man?
Nothing, man. Just hanging out. Getting a little time here at home in Nebraska and jetting back out to Denver.
Yeah, you've been a busy man. You've been everywhere these last few months. It's been a good thing, I assume, right?
Yeah. But in this sport, busy is good. It's not always necessarily the most welcome thing. It's a lot of traveling, a lot of place to place. But if you're not busy, it means things aren't going your way.
Yeah, that is for sure, man. And things have definitely been going your way these last few months. I mean, you've been on a tear, brother. The Legends Tour, so to speak, right? Rashard, Shogun, and now Volkan. Volkan is, far from a legend, but he does hold the number 2 spot, and you're right now at number 9. So, man, this win essentially sets you up as the next guy in line, right?
Yeah. Things have been going well. I think that the pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together, and the things that I've always foreseen happening are finally, it's just working out. I think I'm coming into my prime, and I'm without having to cut all that weight, I'm able to fight to my true potential. And I don't think that I've been able to do that for a really long time. And as far as, Volkan goes, it's never really been about the names to me. Obviously it's really nice to put your Shoguns and a Rashad Evans kind of on your resume, and it's a nice feather in your cap and something that I'll look back on when this is all said and done and be really proud of. But it's really about the numbers in front of their names. It's always been important to me. So it's not even like I'm really fighting Volkan. I'm just fighting the number 2 guy in the world and the problems that he brings to the table. And I'm just looking forward to taking that spot and not having to, argue with too many more people to get my title shot.
For sure. Now, let me ask you, man, what does Volkan bring to the table? Because the UFC, they're really billing this fight as no time, and then you have a 22-second knockout. You have many, many quick knockouts, but I believe your quickest in the UFC is 22 seconds. So, but what I'm thinking is, I don't want to say Volkan is a one-trick pony because he's far from that, but you know what he brings. I find it very unlikely that he's going to catch you like he has in some of the other fights, man. So, what do you feel that Volkan brings to the table?
I don't want to sound like I'm dismissing the things that Volkan's accomplished, because he's had a pretty good run in the UFC. Mm-hmm. But I do think that a lot of the things that he's been able to do, it's the surprise factor. Mm-hmm. And there's no more surprises. We all get it. You're a fast starter, and you're heavy-handed, and I don't think that Serkinov knew that, and I also don't think that Jimmy Manuwa knew that. He was a relative unknown, and there wasn't a lot of tape on him. A lot of his fights are in other countries, and they're against, no offense, but they're against guys that he should have been fighting anyways. The level he was fighting at before wasn't very high. So, and that's the level of his opponents. His skill level is obviously there, but I think that what he brings to the table is he's obviously powerful. And I think a lot of it is his mentality. He just, he's a fast starter, and he swings big, but I've said this before. He doesn't bring anything to the table that I haven't seen before. I fought big punchers several times. I mean, I would argue that Shogun is probably a bigger hitter than Volkan is, and I would say your Hector Lombards are probably more powerful. And I was doing that at 85, where the guys are faster. So I don't see anything that he brings that's going to be a surprise or something that I haven't been able to deal with in the past. But I don't think that he could say the same. I think that at the high level, his career has been very short at a real high competitive level, and I've been fighting at this level for a real long time.
Yeah, you definitely have, man. And you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but the move to 205, I mean, It's been incredible for you, man. Can you even put it into words at just how big of a difference it's making in your performances?
Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain quickly. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Just the ability to spend an entire training camp just focused on getting better and not always focused on getting skinnier. And the mindset that I carry into those training sessions is much different. There's no more stress about how much I weigh, how much weight I have to lose, how many days do I have left to lose it. I'm enjoying training. I'm enjoying every practice because I'm able to eat as much as I want and not have to stress out about how much I weigh all the time. And it's crazy. I wish I could explain the difference that not having that anxiety and what that does to your system and not doing the yo-yo thing with my weight where I go down to 85, then I'm up to 220, and I'm down to 85 and I'm up to 220. It's just, you can only do that so many times. And I think that I burnt mine up a long time ago, and I was just scraping by. And now I just wish I would have done it earlier. When it comes down to it, I think that my career would be in a much different place.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I think the move for you, I mean, we're seeing a lot of guys, that are really benefit from it. But I think in your case, man, it's truly remarkable. I mean, you can absolutely see in your performances and just, as you said, how you're carrying yourself. It's just really cool to see, man. How has training been?
It's been great. It's been really good. Colorado is, training at Factory X with Mark Montoya has been a career-saving move for me.
I think they're my vote for Gym of the Year. You guys are phenomenal there.
It's great. Just the culture that Mark Montoya has built really fits my mindset and how I respond to training best. It is just how Mark naturally trains people. I think that if you were to really look at the other real big, quote unquote super gyms, in the country, I would imagine that Mark's is probably the only one that's majority homegrown. You look at your ATTs and your Jacksons and a lot of those other places. A lot of those gyms are mainly implants and people that have come from other places. And I think what makes Factory X so great is because all those people are there all the time. Those are the majority of the people there are from Colorado, and I think that's a huge accomplishment for him to build something like that from the ground up.
Oh yeah, especially when you're seeing guys, wanting to come to Factory X to train now with the majority of the homegrown guys. Man, what Mark's done is truly special, man, and you're a big part of that too. Before I let you go, man, I wanted to get your opinion on this whole Jon Jones coming back, man. It looks like he and Gustafsson are going to get a crack at the title if DC ever relinquishes it, or if the UFC has to usurp him. But how do you feel, man? I mean, you've been grinding here these last few years, busting your ass. Here's a guy that, I don't want to say he's a cheater, but it is what it is, right? He comes in and it looks like he's going to get an instant title shot. That's got to rub you the wrong way.
It does, but not for the reasons that you would expect. I've actually had a really hard time with this whole Jon Jones situation in general. It makes me really bitter towards USADA and Jon Jones in general. I don't know Jon Jones, and I'm not going to speak on his personal life and his personal choices because, let's be honest here, I've been pretty forthcoming and open about my own past, and I haven't always made the best decisions.
Me either.
I mean, it's real easy to talk about, Jon Jones hitting a pregnant lady and running off, but I mean, it would take someone 5 seconds to dig into my past and find out that I totaled a car and ended up on life support, drinking and driving. You know what I mean? I just feel like the difference between me and Jon Jones is I learned from my mistakes. I haven't made them again, and it made me a better person. And I don't necessarily think that that's the case in Jon's situation. But when it comes to the USADA stuff, it really bothers me because I plan on being across the cage from Jon Jones at some point in time in the near future. And it's real easy for the public to look at it and say, well, it's not that big of a deal. Worry about yourself. It's not your problem, whatever. But Jon Jones is dangerous as it is. And like you said, I've been grinding my ass off for years to get where I'm at. And he just keeps skating and getting breaks because of who he is. And, I obviously want to compete against him because I'm a competitor and I want to be the one that takes out Jon Jones. But at the same time, I'm really not sure what USADA is doing and why they're even here. At this point, we might as well just get them out of there, and the money that the UFC is spending on bringing them in, they might as well just disperse it among the fighters, because they're wasting their time. If you really look at the types of people that have the ability to get around the system and effectively use PEDs, it's not your Anthony Smiths of the UFC. Those processes are extremely expensive, and you have to be extremely connected. And even if I wanted to, I couldn't afford financially, I wouldn't be able to afford the processes and the people that it takes to get around that system. So if we're going to say that the types of people that are able to afford that and have those kind of connections are your Jon Joneses, then why are those the ones that we're giving the breaks to? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I totally understand, trying to get information out of people and stuff, but I mean, after 2 failed tests, I mean, there's people that after 1 have gotten more time. Josh Barnett was completely cleared and was out longer than Jon Jones got total. So it just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it sure doesn't, man. And well put, brother. I mean, well put, because we all have passed, right? God knows, man. I shouldn't even be alive. And as you put it, we all have passed, man. But it's about growing and learning from those mistakes. And I really believe you hit the nail on the head there. I really do. But man, I appreciate your time, Anthony. I know that you're super busy. I know you're going to take off here and head back for the last little leg of your training, and then head up to Canada. I'd like to give you a few minutes here, shout out your coaches, teammates, sponsors, whatever you'd like, man. Floor is yours.
Oh, obviously, I want to thank my family, my fiance, and my 3 kids. A lot of these training camps are just as tough on them as it is me. Clearly, Factory X, Mark Montoya, my jiu-jitsu coach, Scott Morton, my boxing coach, Danny Molina, and my sponsors, Modelo, Prime Society, Metro PCS, Icon Meals, and Hypnotic. If you guys haven't been to Hypnotic's Instagram page, it's Hypnotic with a K, and they got some of the dopest rash guards and gis, and all your jiu-jitsu needs are there, so definitely go check them out.
Very cool. Well, Anthony, I truly appreciate this, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Good luck in your fight. I truly appreciate it, and I really think that you're a future champ.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Take care of yourself.
You too, man.